You gotta say welcome. I say welcome.
Welcome to Diving Deep.
I'm Kirti.
And I'm Brijesh.
And this is where we talk about topics in society that are often overlooked.
Yeah.
You might notice something different today.
Wait a minute.
Do you notice anything different?
Did you get a haircut?
Oh, that's what it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's so sick.
We have Krista here today, our producer.
Hi, producer.
And instead of being behind the camera, they're in front of it.
So you might be wondering who's behind the camera. It's our friend. Hi guys.
He doesn't have a name.
I don't.
Just
Unless you want a name.
this is JC.
Hi JC.
You guys can't see him, but
Hi guys.
But we can.
Yeah.
He's pretty cool.
So shout out to him for helping us.
Yeah.
Helping us with this.
And shout out to Krista for joining us
Oh.
in front of the studio. Yeah.
The studio.
So, how do you feel right now?
It's weird being in front of the camera. I'm used to being back there, like in
Yeah.
my little corner in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
But, hey guys.
Hi.
What are we talking about today? Actually,
Right behind me. Like.
because I don't know, Krista's
Oh.
a little nervous.
You're a little nervous.
I can
Krista?
say it.
Okay, then you say it.
Say it.
Okay, I wanted to talk about perfectionism in music.
Bro's always doing the
La,
visuals.
la, 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 la. You
So,
should really go into music.
I think I should.
why did you want to talk about this today?
Because as a musician, like literally going into music school, you'd think that, I don't know, there'd be a lot of like room for creativity, but everyone is so focused on like being perfect. And it's just, I don't know, I just think it's really interesting and I would like to.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
I feel like a lot
Dive
of
deep.
people...
Okay, sorry.
That's a zoom in. For sure. But yeah, I think a lot of people like don't realize the difficulty of it because it's like, oh, you're going into the arts, it must be easy.
Yeah.
And then also, yeah, with music, there's so many different directions you can go in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think especially after like I'm not in music, but since I'm close with you, I kind of see like how it's kind of constraint in so many ways. And you can't like go in a different direction if you wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, I, at first, because I had like grown up in like a super like classical setting, like my mom's a music teacher and she like taught piano and violin and all this stuff. And I was told to do piano from like the youngest age, and they're like, "You're gonna need piano. This is what you're gonna need to do if you're gonna be a musician."
Mm-hmm.
I hate piano now,
What?
but I had to play for so long because everyone.
I love. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Continue.
Live your truth. I don't. I used to like it, but the reason why I didn't is because I had this teacher named Mrs. Ivan, and I just wanted to learn Harry Potter, like the Hogwarts theme, like yeah. I wanted to learn that, and she was like,
So far.
"No, you're gonna learn something classical that you're actually gonna use, and that like you're gonna need, and that people are gonna like, and like just because you like this, you're a kid, whatever." And I remember her like being really mean to me, and I would like cry after my lessons, and there was always this girl who would come in before me and she'd be playing something classical and she'd be like, "Good for you, you know what, my students all need to be like you." And it was just it, even as a kid, it was like my creativity was like and it really sucked. But why was I talking about that? We were talking about
how music is sometimes not as creative as it's not as easily like, you know, because I always imagine, like, you're going into music, you could, like, do so many things with that, and you could just, like, you know, and you still can, but I think the thing is that you're given these expectations, and you were telling me about how many expectations are put on you by other musicians.
It's so
As
goofy.
opposed to, like, you know, trying to encourage more creativity and going in a different direction.
Yeah, it's so weird that, like, your biggest critics are going to be yourself as a musician and then, like, other people who are in your community. Because, like, the people who are listening to you, they're just like, "Oh, wow, that sounds really nice. Awesome." Yeah. Like, if they're gonna go to a symphony, they know what they're going to get into. But other musicians know, like, the little, like, fine details of, like, if you're doing, I don't know, like, jazz or classical or, I don't know, anything you want. They're going to, like, know what you're supposed to be doing right and what you're supposed to be doing wrong. It's like music is subjective, but it doesn't feel like it because a lot of people are telling you to do specific things.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, so here's the thing. Like, we all listen to music and, like, we listen to, like, what the Daniel Caesar or like pop or like R&B, right?
Shut down.
I don't know.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay.
Continue.
like that's what we've grown up listening to those things on Apple Music and Spotify.
Yeah.
But like when I went to like music in like junior high, like it's part of a band, you're part of an orchestra. I think that's like that's like the easiest thing, like how to like teach people music. But like it's just interesting to me how like that's the only thing that's always been taught. Like in schools, like you gotta learn classical. You gotta learn classical throughout university. You gotta be in a band. You gotta be in an orchestra. Whereas like the music I'm listening to is not orchestral.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So where's the teaching for that stuff? You know, I don't know.
That's
it's kind of weird.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people who do that kind of music, but they're always like outside of school for that. They learn on their own. They have to experiment like a million times. I didn't even think about that before. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it is. I remember I took this class. I think it was like music 180 something, but it was called like Music Life Today, and I really liked that class. It was really awesome, and it like we didn't have to do, it was like kind of the opposite of theory. It was like, how do you feel when you listen to music? And like we talked about how literally in like the university that I go to, in the description for like the music program, it talks about how you're gonna need to take like the classical classes, which is like all like Western music, like old Bach and stuff like that, just like stuff that it's like traditional, but it's like not, because like not everybody is like from the West and like grows up with that stuff. So it's so stupid that it makes everyone feel like you have to like, that is the baseline of music. But anyways,
if you don't know that, then you can't really make it in music.
Yeah, which is also super restraining, because then if you want to do anything else, a lot of people are like, well, that's not real music.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's so weird, man. Like the importance of classical music, like I understand that like it was the foundation of music, but like
there's also so much
more outside of this like this world, as this country, right? Not the world, like but like there's so much more in the world. But I don't know, like you said, like your teachers and stuff, they just constantly focus on classical music. Yeah. And I think that's where like the perfectionism comes in from. Like I think that's where you gotta be perfect. Yeah. Because like in jazz, for example, like I feel like, I don't know, you can tell about this, but like it's more about improv, right? I don't know.
It is, yeah. That's why I'm switching from classical to jazz, is because I can appreciate classical music. Like I think it's really awesome. There's a lot of great composers and performers and musicians in general and whatever. But when I listen to it, there isn't like, I don't know, it doesn't like fill me up as much as jazz does. I just love how like improvisational it is, and just, I don't know, it just feels like it's coming out of the musician, which is like, I really, it's just so cool to watch like a performer up there just like do their thing while playing jazz. And I think that's where a lot of people are like, well, jazz isn't real music, or like you'll be playing a classical song and then you'll like mess up a note, you're like, oh, it's jazz. And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, music is music.
Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of just like makes people who enjoy playing jazz or like other music feel like
it's a mistake.
Serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like people like, even if when I think of like classical musicians, I'm just like, whoa, like fancy.
Yeah, they're posh. All their
suits.
Like,
yeah, that's what I imagine. But like
richness to it. I don't know.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. It's so weird.
Classes stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is classes. There's like, for sure, there's probably a lot of people who wouldn't be able to, like the classical music. I don't know, like
Clique?
community.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Clique.
the lunch table at school. Yeah, they're like, it's still like super close-minded, because it's all like, I mean, we're like slowly progressing, but it's like still a lot of people who are like white men and like got, you know, there was a situation at school or something like that happened where there was like this guy who was white, and he was a guy, and he knew, like his father knew the conductor.
Oh, nepotism.
Yeah, and then he got like a better place, and like he got like into like this other orchestra that was better than the one we were in. So when there was someone else who like should have been in it, but they were not white and not a man, and they didn't know any of them.
Hashtag racist, classist.
Yeah.
Sexist.
Nepotism.
Yeah, it really bothers me how, but in like, I've noticed in like the jazz community, but I haven't really been in it that often, so I can't say like too much, but it's always been like, anyone can just like go up, and it's like super welcoming. There's like this little jazz like lounge thing that I've been to, and they just have nights where you just like improv with random people, just from like, it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from, and you just pay like $10 and you can come in and watch if you want, or you can come in and play. and they just write your name down on this little piece of paper, and you go up there and play with strangers.
Dang, that's sick.
And it's just so cool to see like all of these people who maybe they know each other, maybe they don't, but they're making connections too, like after the fact, and they're just all like playing together and just like being passionate about music. And that's why I'm so sick of people in like the classical area just trying to perfect us, because even in like the like I said like earlier in our like university like description of what the music program is, they put a sentence in there: we will take your passion to perfection. Ew. Yeah, and I remember we read that in like that one class, and we were like, what? So like being passionate isn't enough, you have to be perfect.
Right. Like, I have a question. Like, you told us how like piano, you hate piano because of like the way they taught you, right? And it's like, so what made you want to like continue into like, you're still doing classical stuff in music right now, so like what made you like keep doing music?
I had a similar question.
I thought I'd be like, piano, music, I'm leaving.
If I had that same situation happen to me, I'd be like, okay, so maybe just music isn't for me. Because especially if you're feeling that at a young age, and that happens to you, then it's like, especially you're like, oh, try this interest, don't like it, we're done.
I think I kind of ruled that fully out because I've just grown up like my whole life surrounded by musicians. Like my mom is a musician, my dad's like a sound guy, my like grandparents were musicians, their parents were musicians, like they were all just like involved in music, and like my dad's friends, my family, like it's just, I've been like born in that community. So I also just love music. And nice. I think I figured out like that piano just wasn't for me, because every teacher that I had, maybe I feel like a lot of piano kids have this, I don't want to generalize it, but I've noticed a lot of people who take piano and they talk to me after, they're like, I used to have like the worst teachers, and like I would come out of class crying. And I think it's just because like when you're at that young age, a lot of the teachers just want to like drill in that stuff early so you can be like a prodigy later. And I didn't like that. I just wanted to play, I think, for fun. I didn't realize that I wanted to be like a musician. Early on, I was like, I want to be a paleontologist. I want to be like a race car driver.
You're still a kid, you know, like
So I think it definitely could have just like squashed my passion for music, but because I was like growing up around like all these people who were like really supportive about the arts and just like music in general, I felt really like, I don't know, I felt
like
supported.
You should try something else.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like you had to pursue music?
Yes. Yeah, I did. My mom, like, she runs a music studio, and she's also a teacher, and she told me, like, all the time, like, you'd be a great teacher, because I taught in, like, junior high and high school. I taught, like, ukulele and guitar, just, like, the kids, and it was really fun. I really liked it. But then I went to, like, honor band, and it was, like, the first time that I had been in, like, a big, like, concert band with, like, a whole bunch of people who were, like, at the same level as me, and it was such an amazing experience that I was like, I don't know if I want to teach, I want to perform. And then when I told my parents about that, they were kind of like, oh, you know what, there's not very much money in that, and like you really want to make sure that you're going to go into something that you're going to be able to like survive off of. Like you don't want to be one of those, you know, musicians who have to like live off of like their, you know, I don't know. So there's just been a lot of what is it called? There's a lot of like stereotyping around musicians being like, you can't make money and you're gonna go nowhere. And
it's like in general with arts, like
in general. We've talked about it before, where it's like you nothing's certain, nothing's like certain in place. You don't get a certificate or something that could really make you like, yes, I'm gonna get this job, you know. As compared to sciences, and obviously like everyone has their struggles with getting a job, obviously, but it's just in the arts. You gotta be like top of the class, like something completely different, never seen before. But how are you supposed to do that when you're told to follow these,
to play the same stuff as everyone else?
Right? Because how are you gonna be like above and beyond then? And it's always possible to be like super, super perfect at it. But what I'm imagining is like people like to see new things.
Absolutely.
People love to see new things, and the fact that you're putting these like almost like boxes is just kind of, it's kind of stopping that creativity.
Yeah, I've always kind of felt like that. That's probably why I was, like, my mom was always just like, you are going to be a really, really good teacher. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to be a teacher. And I just thought, like, that is my destiny. I have to do that now. My mom did it. My dad's mom did it. Like, it's been running in our family. I'm good at it, whatever. But like every night after I'd come home from work, I'd just like grab my ukulele or I did play on the piano, but only if it was like improv. Like I would just be doing my own thing.
Yeah, no, that's
Did you ever learn the Hogwarts thing?
I did, and I still know it to this day.
Boom.
Yeah.
You never played that for me.
I literally have.
Wow, fake friend.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. So, but, and then yeah. So I after my mom was like, you need to really do like teaching and stuff like that. I was like, okay, well the only way that I can be a teacher is if I go into classical music, because a lot of people are like, you can't, if you want to be a teacher, you can't teach jazz. Like it's not, you're not going to get as much money, there's not as much whatever. So I was like, okay, well, if I need to be a teacher, which I realized I didn't want to be, but later, but at the time I didn't. If I want to be a teacher, I have to go into classical, which are both things that I didn't really want to do.
It's like, and then, It's like,
I don't like any of these things. Let's go into both of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then I realized at the end of this semester, like, that's not what I want to do. It doesn't make me happy. And also I feel super, like you said, like, boxed in. So I'm trying to broaden my horizons.
Yeah. I mean, I guess people really push classical too, because that's probably what will get you the most money if you're like perfect and stuff. Because if you do something different and unique, you know, there's no guarantee that you're gonna get in. Even with classical, there's no guarantee.
Well, like, it's like a loophole. It's like people are only gonna teach classical because classical is only what's being taught. You know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
But if they taught something else, then
people might start learning new things.
It would be different.
I don't know.
Yeah. They had like a jazz or apparently a jazz program at my university. When I was like looking for courses and stuff like that, I was like, oh, there's jazz, and I click on it. It's like, this course isn't available. And I was like, okay. I looked for another one. I was like, Jazz 101. I was like, okay, let's look at this. It's not available. So they have them in there, and it even says like still in the description. It'll be like, yeah, we teach like this and jazz and like blah blah blah, but it's not there anymore. And I just think if you're gonna have like it's such like everyone's always talking about how good of a program this program is, you should have more than just classical music. And they do have like, I know they have like West African ensemble and like a Indian ensemble and like some other ones, but they don't, it's not like required. It's like, take this for fun. Like this could be something if you like want to learn more, but like you need to take classical music because that is the foundation of music.
It's not weird. That's so weird.
Yeah, but I feel like like if you learn these other kinds too, like, you know, you get to improve as a musician in so many ways rather than just being in one little line, you know? You got one thing to learn. And then all these other things you got to learn yourself.
Yeah, we are in like Western culture though, so maybe it's like you just
I guess that's true.
Like
but,
you chose,
but still,
but you know, for Canada, the place that's always like, we're diverse.
Yeah.
You know, we're diverse. So it's practice what you preach type of deal. You know, and I think it's kind of messed up because I feel like people should be more engaged in those other kinds of music. So, I wanted to ask you. This is a little depressing.
Okay.
But
with a
we really need one of those like soundboard things where we can just like hit the button and it'll do the little sound effect.
Actually, Final Cut has like a few sound effects. I checked. Okay.
Oh no, I know.
Yeah. And
but,
it has that.
No, what I'm thinking is.
Oh, like
this
a
is
board?
Like a board. Because that's what I see like Curtis Connor do, and I think it's so funny.
Sorry, we have a guest here.
Wait.
I've always been here. I've just been behind the camera. I'm not a guest. Don't treat me any differently.
You're a guest now. You're not a producer anymore. You're a guest.
Wow.
Yeah, this is how we're telling you that you're fired.
Just on camera.
Yeah.
Why I left diving.
Clickbait. No, but you'll be back for the next episode.
Yeah, you'll be back.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the soundboard later. Anyways.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, as you're continuing with music, do you ever feel like this sucks? I'm like put in these boxes and I'm being taught something that like I don't necessarily enjoy. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. But, like, it's never enough to make me actually stop. But I do feel like that a lot of the times I'll be, like, in the practice rooms, and I just, like, pick up my saxophone, and I'm like, I'm going to have to practice for, like, an hour and a half today. I should probably practice for more, because everyone else is practicing for more. But I'm going to practice for an hour and a half today, and I'm probably going to mess up a whole bunch of times, and I'm going to feel real shit about my performance after that. You can hear people next to you, like, in the practice rooms. I've been comparing myself to, like, literal fourth years in the same studio, and, like, but you ask any musician in, like, all of the university, I'm assuming, and you'll be like, oh, do you think you're a good musician? And they're like, oh, no, not really. Like, I know someone else who's way better than me. You ask that person, and they're like, I'm not that good.
I've never heard a musician actually tell me, like, yeah, like, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
But then I listen to them play, and I'm like, this is so fire. Like, I don't know anything about music. So especially to a person like me, I'm like, damn, they know what they're doing.
Yeah. And, like, and one side, it's, like, all that criticism from, like, I don't know, other people being like, oh, you know, like, I like this kind of music better. Like, that was okay, but, like, try this. It can be, like, oh, my God, like, I suck. Like, after I come out of a lesson, sometimes I'll literally be like, I'm going to bawl because my teacher thinks I'm the worst, and there's, like, no way I'm going to come out of this, and, like, I might as well just quit now, and everyone's better than me, and I'm at the bottom of everything. But then also there's, like, the good side of the criticism where there's some people who will be like, that was really good and we want to see you improve. So here's like some, like, our whole saxophone studio is like such a great community, and it's all like a family. And we have like these like clinics, or like, I forget what they're called. That's so embarrassing. I've been in this for a year. Rep class.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in our repertoire class. And we basically like stand at the front of the class in front of all of the people who play saxophone, like from the first years to maybe like I think there's like a sixth year, and all of them watch you and like will write notes, or like will have like ideas or criticisms or whatever, and you stand in front of them with your saxophone, talk about your piece, play your piece, and then your professors will like do kind of like live assessment. Will like be like, okay, so this is where you messed up here, can you try this again? And you have to like go over the parts that you like sucked at in front of everybody. And then everyone like who's watching, they're all super supportive though, and they'll be like, that was really great, like your tone is awesome, and like I really like how you phrased this, but like maybe try your articulation like this. And it's just such like, that is the thing that keeps me in music, is like the community and just like being able to like share your music with people, and like you know, have their opinions like be put on you, and then you like, I don't know, I just like the community.
It's a good vibe too.
Well, I guess that's like part of what keeps you going, right? Because these criticisms, how do you combat that, the bad ones? How do you deal with that? I mean, for anyone listening too, like, might be helpful.
I usually, like, if I'm feeling bad about myself and I'm like, oh, I could have played that so much better, I'm usually not comparing myself to myself. I'm comparing myself to how I've heard other people play that song, or how I've heard other musicians just like play in general. Like for my jury, which for the non-musician people out there, or just who's not in like university.
Yeah, I was so confused when you said jury for the first time.
It's like, you're going to court?
I was like,
yeah, everyone's like, you're going to court.
What chapter did I miss?
No, juries are like finals for music students. So it was like it's supposed to be every semester, but for us, we just did it at the end of second semester. But we just perform in front of our professors, like a couple pieces. I had to do a memorized piece and like some scales and whatever, and then they grade you based on your performance, and it's like a really big part of your grade. And I was practicing for my jury, and one of my friends had the exact same piece as me. And like, I know at first we were like, but then we were like, wait, we could just like practice together and whatever and learn from each other. And it was good because I had someone who knew the piece to like give me feedback, but then I was comparing myself to her a lot, and I'd be like, oh, well, I don't do it like this here. Like, am I doing it wrong? Am I just like, because I have a different interpretation of the piece or something, and then I'll be like, and she has a different one too. And I'll be like, well, she did it like this, and maybe I should do it like that, and hers sounds better, but like I really like playing it like this. And then it's always like I'm comparing myself to other people. So when I get in that mindset of like, oh, I suck because I don't sound like this fourth year, then I just think, well, considering I came from a small town with like no music program, I didn't have private lessons. I picked up saxophone in grade 7. A lot of people have been doing it for longer. Maybe they had more opportunities. I am proud of myself for how far I've come. And it's really hard to think like that sometimes because, I don't know, I feel like maybe I should always be doing better. And it's easier for me to be like, I'll do better next time or practice more. Or like,
yeah, especially because you're surrounded with a bunch of like musicians who are different levels than you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like in any field, like it doesn't even matter like music, but it's like there's always gonna be room for improvement.
There's always gonna be someone better is another thing too. There's always gonna be
like,
someone better, but there's also always gonna be someone worse.
Like it's
okay. Just like it's it's the case for everybody, every single person. That person that's better than you, they're probably comparing themselves to someone else.
And like it's okay to like still acknowledge that there's room and still know that like you're doing good. Like as
exactly.
Yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean it is all about the mindset.
Like you were saying, it's okay to not be the absolute best. Because I don't know, I if I want, there's like a couple musicians maybe where I'm like, oh, they're really cool, I would love to be like them, but I immediately shut down that thought, and that sounds bad, but I think I can never be like them because I am not them.
You're you.
Right? What I want to be is the best version of myself that I can be as a musician. I don't want to be perfect in a sense where I'm gonna be a carbon copy of that person who is really good. I want to do what makes me feel happy in music, and that will be like my perfection, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so inspirational.
That's so wholesome.
That hit the soul.
Hit the like button if you think that was deep.
Plug there.
Oh my god.
But I also think like music, again, like there's always gonna be so much subjectivity to it. So like you said, like there's different interpretations, and like even if your interpretation is different, doesn't mean it's wrong, right?
Let me tell you something.
I was about to say, like, I just have a question about that. Like, do you ever feel like, well, do your teachers tell you that your interpretation is wrong? Is this the story where you changed the...
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, story time. There is this girl in my studio at the university that I go to, and we're going to call her Bailey.
Hi, Bailey.
Yeah, and there's a professor at our school. And we're going to call him Dr. Avenue.
Hi, Avenue.
And so basically, Bailey is really, really good at saxophone. Like, she's been, I don't know, really making connections and practicing all the time and just, like, improving herself and just, like, doing awesome. And she has Dr. Avenue as her professor. So she was having, I think it was, like, a performance of some sort. And, she's graduating, and I think it was like her end of the year performance or something like that, and Dr. Avenue was watching this performance, and Bailey had already given Dr. Avenue her recommendation, like asked, like, can you recommend me for these schools, because she wants to do her master's. And Dr. Avenue was like, yeah, of course, you're like a great musician, whatever. So Bailey plays at this thing, and then Dr. Avenue, after this performance, was like, I didn't like the way that you played that. And it was beautiful the way that she played it. But his interpretation was different. And he thought it was so preposterous that he took away her recommendation letter.
Wow.
So
the nerve.
So like for all the all the other universities and places that she applied for, that recommendation letter he's like a super big important guy in like the music community. Like, he's a professor. He knew Claude DeLong. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but he's like a super famous like saxophone player who's like it's crazy. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, he took away her recommendation letter because like she played it in a different interpretation than he liked it. So like her future is like hindered because of just like what he thinks.
Yeah.
Especially when you like say you're gonna do it and then you just take it away. That's crazy.
That's like even worse because she was probably so glad that like, I'm going to get this recommendation letter. It'll get me into a good master's program. Yeah. Like, that's so upsetting. And especially, like, even if she didn't play well, taking away master's recommendation over one performance. Yeah. Like, you're saying that, like, even though she did it differently, she played it well. Even if she played it bad and he took it away because of that, like, that's one performance given a person's entire career as a musician. Absolutely. And it's not, like, one performance is not going to be a reflection of a person for one whole thing.
No, exactly.
Taking that away is crazy.
I know.
That's crazy.
Dang, yeah, and she'd been working like all of those university years to get where she was getting. And then Dr. Avenue was like, you know what? I don't like how you played that. So I'm going to take away this opportunity from you. It's just, it was crazy. And I remember hearing about that and being like, that's like, as a professional, as a mentor, you shouldn't be able to have that amount of power where you can just take it away after, like, he's like, it gets me riled up.
Yeah,
but
no, fair.
Anyways,
Dr. Avenue is an L.
L Avenue.
L Avenue. L Avenue. Jeez.
Nice.
Damn, that sucks.
I really got him with that one. But yeah, that
sucks. It's almost like you just have to follow the interpretation that you think your professor is going to have and like. And it can't be something that, like, you know, you really, really enjoy necessarily.
It kind of reminds me of, like, English. You know, like, essays? And, like, you have, like, a professor. It's, like, you want to write just the way the professor, like, likes the style of writing.
Yeah.
And then you get the better marks.
No, that's so real. Like, you have to almost agree with the professor. And the thing is, like, they always encourage the type of, like, creativity and new ideas. For, like, English, at least, when we're talking about that. I'm assuming they do it in music, too.
Yeah. I mean, like, if we're in our, like, individual lessons, I don't know, I'll be playing a piece and maybe I, like, do a little interpretation on this. I'll be like, I'm going to hold this a little longer. I'm going to add vibrato here. I'm going to, like, do this, do that, whatever. I'm not, like, altering the notes or anything.
Yeah.
But, and then my teacher will be like, no, why are you playing it like that? Like, play it how it's written. And then...
it's so weird.
Yeah, it's really constricting.
I do understand how at the beginning you should be, like, doing it, you know, how it's written so you can learn. Yeah. But then after a certain point, if you keep just doing it how it's written, you have no room for creative exploration. So, and the thing is that later I played that same piece and she was like, okay, well now I want you to, like, it doesn't say it here, but, like, write in, like, a crescendo or, like, make this longer or, like, really drag this out and
but it's not really you then, right? Like, it's the professor.
The
person teaching.
Yeah, so I didn't really like how, like, I don't want to be bashing this school. This is a good school.
Sure.
There's a lot of good programs there, a lot of good teachers, a lot of good students. But personally, for me, I don't want to be boxed in like that. I remember just being in theory class, and it was like one of the first of all, I hated theory.
Doesn't everyone?
I haven't met many musicians who love theory. Like,
I haven't met a single. I know one. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Great. Anyways.
It's good for them. But
yeah. Honestly, because everyone's always crying over theory.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was like the first, maybe the second theory class, and I remember our teacher was like, okay, why is this wrong? And then someone would be like, because it sounds bad. I'd be like, does it sound bad, or does it just sound like kind of funky? Does it just sound like interesting? And I just think, like, I don't know,
what if it sounds good to some people?
Exactly.
It probably does.
Yeah. I don't think that there can be, like, I mean, I think personally you can think there's bad music, like maybe you just, like, don't agree with it, but there isn't bad music. You know what I mean?
I mean, I feel like there's like basic principles, right? Like, obviously something that's like super off pitch or something is gonna sound bad. Like, nobody probably, right? Like, nobody's gonna like that.
I guess it's like a choice, but it's like,
I don't know. Like a creative choice.
I don't know.
You can say whatever you want to say about that.
Yeah,
but if you like it, you like it.
If you like it, you like it. And I don't think it's, like, fair enough for people to judge that. Like, it's the same way I feel about, like, I don't know, like an art competition or something. There's definitely a basis, and there's basic principles of, like, oh, they did this, and they used this technique or whatever. And the same thing goes for music, but there's also so many different things that are put into each music piece and also each art piece. So it's like, they're not on the same level of, you can't compare the two because they're two separate things.
Yeah.
So, that's just messed up.
Yeah. You went off though. But yeah, just like in general for like the arts, I feel like it's always like that.
Yeah.
Just like,
you're put up against other people. Like, all the time.
Like the thing is, they have to make it clear, like, because there's a sheet of music, you know, and it has certain rules. Like, okay, you got to play this note. You got to do a crescendo here. You got to do this. So at a certain point, it's like, when do you follow this, and when do you, like, change that up to make it yours? You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, that line, it keeps getting crossed, like, and then coming back depending on the teacher, right? The teacher says this is not okay to do. You gotta follow the music, and then the teacher's like, don't follow the music, do this. It's like it's confusing. It's like
and then that just goes back to the whole like classical music is the base of everything because like I don't know, maybe there's a different way of writing music like not in the West where you could read that and you could interpret it however you want, and that would be like okay, and it would be like you're reading it how it's read. I don't know. I don't like the boxiness.
I feel like even like comparing music to like the other art like industries like art or like drama or whatever, like there's just such a high standard put on music, like to get the notes to sound right and everything. But I think because like even if you aren't a musician, like you can still listen to when there's like when someone messes up. Like no matter what, like you can hear it, and it makes a difference. You know, so I think like because of that, it's like the standard for it is like so much higher because like you cannot like bring that feeling to someone. You gotta always make it sound good and sound perfect. I don't know.
Like musicians like thrive off of validation from other people because like the way that they are told if they're good or not is people have to sit and watch them do what they do. And they have to listen and be like, oh, I like that, or I don't like that.
So you're being judged, like
it's like
your job is to be judged.
Right. And I mean, while that's awesome because you can like bring happiness to a lot of people, you can, you know, really get people like
you're performing. It's always nice to be on stage and do your thing, and people are watching you and listening and enjoying.
But then the other thing is that I know personally if I'm like playing something and maybe I played it really well before and then I go up there and I absolutely bomb a performance, then I'll leave the stage being like, I suck, I should never play again. And it'll just be like that one performance after I'd practiced for like months beforehand or something. And maybe I did really good practicing here, and then that one little chunk where I went on stage and I got nervous and I messed up, that is like where the validation kicks in because people are watching you.
That's the one time that everyone's seeing you, and like something messes up. It's just I think that's similar to like even like art exhibitions. You know, like so much stuff about the art is just like
everyone's just watching.
You're being so vulnerable about your own art and like about your skill and giving it to the world, and then you're just seeing what the world has to offer.
You don't know what you're going to get in return.
Exactly.
That's crazy. And it's all...
Could be good, could be bad.
So.
Do
we have anything else more to say?
Did you want to ask me something?
I'm just saying it for, like, the podcast.
Oh, as in, like...
They don't know that I want to ask them something.
Okay,
cut this out.
So...
Thank you, JC. Anything
just
else
say
you
what you
want
want
to
to
add
say,
to the conversation?
Like, I think I'm like...
Like maybe someone thought of something.
Music is pretty cool.
Okay. Well,
you know what?
Okay.
Talking about how sometimes your conductor's like, I want this to change or I want that to change, you know? I remember my high school teacher talking about, oh, I want to add emotion to this music. So like how it's just notes on a page to them. And so it's the person playing the music who's like turning it into music.
Right? Otherwise it's just notes
Otherwise
on paper,
it's just notes on a page. Like the performance is really what makes it, right?
So like lack of perfection kind of leaves more room for like emotion,
individual like expression.
Because that's who we are as humans.
That's what music is for.
We're imperfect.
To make us feel stuff, not to be perfect.
Like that's true. That's a good point.
Wow.
It got deep.
We dove deep.
He dove.
You dove
okay.
for real.
So, well.
Gotta come out for breath. Sorry.
Someone get him a scuba mask. Okay. So, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course.
This was so interesting. But this was a little upsetting to me because I was just like, oh, you look so surprised. I don't know, it's just upsetting because you are put behind bars basically, and it kind of sucks. But what would you say to people who are struggling with this exact problem, with perfectionism and feeling like they can't freely express themselves through their music?
Like you're switching to jazz though, right? So like you're sort of not behind bars. Are you still, like, I don't know.
You haven't like actually entered the program yet though, the one that you're talking about.
I gotta do my audition, which is coming up. I should practice. But I would say for people like struggling with feeling like they're not good enough or like they need to be perfect in music, it's harder said than done. But just to like focus inward on yourself. Don't focus on how other people are playing. I mean, like, you can get inspiration from them, but I wouldn't directly compare yourself, because you're never going to be like that person, but you can be the best version of yourself. And that's what people want to see. They don't want to see the exact same, I don't know, carbon copy of like Katy Perry. Like, they want something different.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So just like be authentic, do what makes you happy, live, laugh, love, you know.
And be you.
Yeah, be you.
Yeah, like, you're switching programs, even though, like, I remember you were like, I don't know if I should and all of that, but, you know, do what you want to do. Yeah.
Because I even talked to a lot of people in like in the jazz lounge area, and they were like, "Why are you doing classical music if you don't want to do it?" It's like, I don't know. People told me I was supposed to.
I just feel like I have to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's also like a financial aspect to it too. You know,
exactly.
Like the whole stability and like what's more popular and what are people like more likely to see versus more what they want to see.
But it's like so upsetting because like that's like the normalized thing where it's like classical, this is it. But if we just shift our mindset, like, as a society as a whole, then things would be so different to the point where everyone doesn't have to do classical. But the thing is, we're stuck in a loop where everyone keeps on going.
But I think that the step you're taking is good to like break out of that, you know.
Yeah.
Like, if someone has to do it, you know. So
and I think the more people that do it, the more things will change.
Yeah, I'm just so excited to do it too, because I was just so nervous, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna get any money, and then people were like, well, how much money do you think you're going to get out of the classical saxophone? Saxophone is made for jazz. But anyways, I'm glad that I'm making this step, because it feels like correct.
Like, it's about your passion at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, I mean, money is like also an important thing, but if I'm doing something that I love, I can find a way to make money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I would rather be broke and happy than with a lot of money and sad. And I mean, money is really awesome and does help a lot. So if anyone wants to give me some.
Capitalism.
Dollar sign.
Oh, I thought we were doing secret capitalism. Yeah. So living my truth.
Dude, I respect that. You know what? I'm proud of you.
Oh,
I'm proud of you too.
Thanks, guys.
You were
I'm
scared.
proud of you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
See, we're all proud of you.
Oh.
Okay. So
well, that's the end of the show, folks.
That's the end of the episode. We hope you enjoyed, and we hope you learned something new and cool.
Funky. We have an Instagram.
I didn't want to say the whole outro.
Yeah. We got an Instagram. It's called Diving Deep With Us, and we got some cool little reels, updates, and like releases on our new posts. And we also have this YouTube channel. Maybe you should just like check it out, see what's going on there.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
The like button.
All those things. Comment down below on the description.
Let us know what you thought of the episode, and if you want to see more of Krista, and if you also want to be a guest, you can DM us on Instagram or you can email us.
We got a list.
At
We're going through the list.
@gmail.com.
Yeah. I think we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye. The depressing thing. So, as you're like continuing.
Okay.
Wow. It's like the like in 2 times speed.
I get it.
Oh, okay.
No, I get the joke.
Continue.
Damn. As I was saying.
Fired. Got me singing like na 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 every day. It's like my iPod stuck on replay. Yeah.
Still recording?
Anyway, we were just testing the mic.